Now it's time for the Game of the Year tier list, where I take all the games I've played and beaten this year, regardless of if they came out this year, and rank them all, because why not? It sounds like fun. And I'm also going to... Come on. Get that popping. Barely popping, because it's over my desk. Mountain Dew Hard Baja Blast. I finally fucking found this shit. And you know what? It's pretty good. Tastes just like a zero sugar Baja Blast. Sure. Now, yeah, this didn't... There we go, that's what I want. Now let's begin. I got you. First up, we're going in order of when I played them and beat them this year. The Last of Us. This is a game I've owned since I bought my PS4 back in 2020. Yeah, 2020. The very beginning of 2020. It came with 3 games. The Last of Us, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn. I did play and beat God of War. I played Horizon and kind of fell off of it because it didn't really hook me. I played the hell out of Spider-Man because I bought that as well. This languished on my shelf for years. I just never really cared about it, honestly. I don't know, I felt like a little bit of hype backlash, I guess. And, when the show was coming out, I was a little bit interested, mostly because of Pedro Pascal being cast as, Joel. So I was like, fuck it, now's the time. Let's finally play The Last of Us. My ultimate verdict. I didn't like it. I don't know. See, everybody raves about like how good the story is and like the dialogue and stuff. I mean, sure, the dialogue is fairly well written in a way. It definitely comes off like people actually talking to each other, not just reading lines off a script. Like it deserves credit for that, but I don't know. Other than that, it's just a decent story that's just told well. Like it's not like I didn't think it was one of the best stories ever. I also don't know what people see in Joel. I think Joel's kind of just a dick, like, and not like because the point of him is to be a dick. I think just they lean too hard into it. There's many scenes where I felt like he was just being a hard ass for the sake of forcing a conflict in the story, and I just wasn't into it. But as for the gameplay, I didn't like the gameplay. I didn't think it felt good to play. I felt like it never truly evolved. I'm trying to remember its mechanics, honestly, and again, it just didn't feel good. I felt like there was opportunity for upgrades to go better than they did, but they didn't really. Like, equipment and items and stuff. Combat never really evolved either. Halo combat evolved. I don't know, I wasn't into it. I mean, the music was alright. I just didn't, yeah, I finished it. I just didn't enjoy it. I will say this, Ellie is a great fucking character. Like, again, I don't see what people saw in Joel. And I don't consider him this icon of gaming. Ellie, though, sure. I'll give that to Ellie. She's written well, acted well. She's fantastic. But ultimately, I just didn't think the game was good. I just didn't like how I played, and the show was better. If you want to experience The Last of Us, watch the show, because I think Neil Druckmann was just trying to be like, what if I told story but used video game, when he should have just told story, and when he just told story, it worked out pretty well. Like, I don't think The Last of Us is the best television show of all time by any means, but I think it was a well-done show, and I think it's a better way to experience this story. So, The Last of Us is honestly dropping down here into C tier. Resident Evil 2, the remake. My first Resident Evil game, actually. I've had my eye on it for a while. I've watched people play, and I thought, you know, this actually seems kind of cool. Kind of fun, and yeah. And, I don't get tense very easily from things. It's like, even in video games or movies. Not anymore. I used to when I was a kid. I used to be very easily frightened and shit, but I don't know, at some point things just turned around. And I've been fairly unmoved. But this game made me really fucking uneasy. Like, the atmosphere is that good. Not knowing what's going to be around the corner. Then Mr. X comes in and adds another layer to it. The tense level, if you don't like being tense, don't play this game, but it really motivated me to get things done and survive. And I don't know if there was anything I would really call a negative element. I guess maybe there's not a whole lot of variance between the first campaign and the second run with the opposite character. I wish there was, but banger, by the way. Overall, I thought it was great. I want to go back to it and play it some more and get some more unlocks and stuff. It was definitely a fantastic first introduction to the series. Very little I took issue with. S tier. It was that fun of a game. It was that good of an introduction. I would like to go back to it at some point, but I think my idea is maybe to see if I can pull Aaron along for a playthrough. I don't think she would enjoy playing it, but maybe watching it. Metroid Prime Remastered. So, spoiler alert, if I was making a straight top 10 list, or top 5, whatever, and if I was going to cheat and include this, number 1. Metroid Prime is just that fucking good. And Remastered, it takes the game that was already fucking nearly perfect, and just makes it look even more amazing. Like, I was a little bit worried, admittedly, that they were going to do the remaster thing of not getting the point of how things looked in other areas, and then changing it to look not as good in the remake. I don't think it was the case at all. I think it just made everything look better, like, objectively, for the most part. I know people like to meme on that missing reflection effect, and one of the decorations in the shows are ruins, but not gonna lie, I never knew about that until the remake. So I do like the extra touches for the control accessibility, even though I ended up switching to GameCube style. Because that's just what I'm used to, but it's a good thing they added like a dual stick control for people who wanted something more accessible and usable. Like, I get it. Metroid Prime controls were not exactly... They did not exactly become the standard. It was still fairly early on in the days of first-person shooter games. To use the term shooter lightly here, because it's more of a first-person adventure, but... So, controls weren't exactly solidified yet. Halo had just come out like a year before? And that was the game that pretty much revolutionized console controls, I'm pretty sure, so... But... You know. There's not much more I can say about Metroid Prime. Or Remaster specifically. I'm just gonna give it what it deserves and put it in S rank. Back into Resident Evil. Resident Evil 2. This was me being curious about how the original Resident Evil games played. I tried a couple different ports, and gotta say, I could not really handle the tank controls. I could probably, if I spent a lot of time with those games, I could probably eventually get the hang of it, but I didn't really want to, so I managed to track down the 64 version. Which is the only version, weirdly enough, even the later GameCube ports don't include the ability to play with an analog control movement. What I found was that the game's pretty fun. Definitely more primitive. And it's kind of interesting seeing how there's some stuff that got cut out of the remake, even though the remake still feels pretty... like a pretty solid experience already. It's actually kind of hard to place this one, because it's been a while since I played it, and I only played the Leon route, I didn't go back and play Claire. But, I thought, yeah, that was pretty good. I thought it definitely had better music, and I don't know why they didn't just keep the music in the remake. I know the remake has, like, that DLC pack, but I think it also replaces classic sound effects, too, and I would just rather have the music replaced, not the sound effects. I mean, classic sound effects are cool and all, but some of them do kind of stick out like a sore thumb nowadays. This cat's doing. Yeah, where do I put this? Tater tot poutine, nice. I'm probably just gonna have my leftover Chinese food when I'm done with this. Sesame chicken. We had lunch with my family and it was just a lot of fucking food. I was amazed. But yeah, Resident Evil 2, the original. I'm feeling A or B. And the weird part is, A feels too high, but B feels too low. And I think we might have to come back and revisit this again. Like, we will. We're going to. Resident Evil 2, I'm going to slot you into A for now, and we'll see how we feel later. The original Resident Evil 4. And a game like this, the tank controls weren't as bad. But also, it was 2005. Stop with... We shouldn't have had tank controls anymore. So, here's my other deal with it. I played this after the Resident Evil 2 remake, so I was hurting for non-tank controls. I adjusted, but it was still pretty awkward compared to what we could have just had and what we would get later. But I think it's a fun game. I don't... This might be an inciting statement. I don't really like the music that much. I think a lot of the dialogue and stuff was funny, like the over-top action stuff. It's pretty spot on. Pretty well done. What I don't like are the QTEs. I like that story how it's like they were revolutionary back in 2005, but nowadays they're novel at best, and yeah, that's about right. Especially when there's like cutscene boss fights where you have to use QTEs, and if you fail to get a QTE, you have to repeat that boss fight. Who came up with that shit? You know, it's easy to feel that way nowadays, but yeah, it's goofy. It's fun listening to these characters talk. Actually, it's not as bad as people make her out to be as far as like gameplay. Character-wise, no, she fucking sucks, but she has no character is the problem. She's a meme, but you know, there's still cool stuff about the game, like shop system, inventory, all that. The fucking attaché case is so fucking addicting, and I love it. And I need more attaché case. But I got more attaché case. There's more attaché case in this single fucking tier list. But yeah, it was still overall a fun play, despite some age concepts. I don't feel like I should give it a lower ranking than Resident Evil 2, the original. Oh, and I know there are some old school purists who would say that, no, RE2 is way better than RE4, but I'm going to put it in A, I think. Resident Evil Deadly Silence, also known as Resident Evil 1. I was just talking about this in Quickie World, but tank controls. So here's my thing. Finally, I get to play Resident Evil 1 and all its goofy cheesiness. And like, it's a fun like history lesson, but tank controls, 33. Tank controls still like they were hard to get used to. I kind of sort of adjusted, but I'm pretty sure I did resort to a few save states here or there just to get a move on because I really just wanted to experience the game. And like, the cornball nature of it is really its high point. But its gameplay nature, like, it was not as smoothed out as Resident Evil 2. Again, that could maybe just be me playing analog controls. I think the mansion was well designed, I'll say that for sure. I don't think it overstayed its welcome or anything. But it's tough to say. I should also stress I played the original mode of this, not the DS exclusive arrange mode. I read about that, and it sounded like it was frustrating and unfun, and especially wouldn't be fun because I wasn't playing it on original hardware. But I'm thinking maybe B. I could be convinced to say C. Because again, it does have redeeming factors, but most of them are like ironic redeeming factors. I'm going to say C. And again, this isn't like final placement. We will be doing some reevaluation. No, these two are not moving, but we'll be doing some final evaluations towards the end. Resident Evil 3 remake. Hey, we're still here. So Resident Evil 3 remake. It's kind of fun. I mean, it's more the gameplay style of Resident Evil 2 remake. But something felt missing, and I never played the original Resident Evil 3. And I'm not sure if and when I ever will play the original Resident Evil 3. But even then, something felt missing. It was really short. There was some cool, like, cool little moments in it. I felt like Nemesis wasn't as present as he could be, and like, you know, I knew the reputation of Nemesis, and especially from Resident Evil 2 remake, when everybody's like, oh my god, they made Mr. X so cool and terrifying, I can't wait to see what to do with Nemesis, and they didn't. They dropped the ball, apparently. They got some cool boss fights, and that was about it. Also, there was the dodge mechanic. It didn't really, I don't know, I could never get a hang of it. It felt definitely more like an action game than a horror game. Like I said, Resident Evil 2 remake really unsettled me. Remake, it didn't really do much. There's nothing wrong with it being actiony. I could see some genuine appeal in like going through and trying to speedrun through the game. And as it stands, yeah, it just feels like something's missing. Again, we may reevaluate, but I think we're going to put it in B tier. Tabletop Simulator. This is kind of a cheeky entry, because I never played Tabletop Simulator until this year. I guess if you're watching us on YouTube, it was last year, but... And, yeah, we played a game of Tabletop Sim, and I was like, hey, let's be funny and add it to the completed games, completed media list. And you know... I mean, you get what you pay for. It's a simulator game where you can play board games with friends online, or solo. Or... I don't know, can you do offline multiplayer? Maybe you can, but... What more do you ask for? Thing is, I'm not much of a board game person. There are some I like, but otherwise, like... I just feel like too much of an investment I'm willing to put in. Generally speaking, but... This is a weird one. And now that I'm at the tier list, I'm kind of like, I kind of wish I hadn't included this, but you know, we'll get it done. I'm going to say A tier for the fact that yeah, it does what it sets out to do, and it's there for basically all that. And it's not S tier because I'm not a board game enthusiast. But I can't put it in B tier as it feels too low for something that does exactly what it's supposed to do, so... I'll leave it at that. Resident Evil 4 Remake. I promise you, this is the last Resident Evil game on this list. It kicks fucking ass. Let's just get that out of the way. No, this is one of the best games of the year. Like, it took Resident Evil 4, modernized it, made improvements to like the story and the writing. As far as like character writing, right? That is. It kept a fair amount of corniness, and just enough corniness. There are some downfalls if you want the full corny experience. Salazar is not as fun as he used to be. Fucking, what's the... How have I forgotten the main bad guy's name? He's not as fun as he used to be. But I think they made Mendez better. How did I forget the main bad guy's name? Maybe because he was always that uninteresting. Mendez is better. They don't have giant statue. Well, they sort of do. It sure is an intro. But it doesn't chase you, which is a disappointment, but... Leon is a much better character, if you ask me, and Ashley is also a way fucking better character. Like, she actually has a personality this time. Like, there was a scene in the original I thought was so stupid where she runs away from Leon for a silly, corny, weak reason. But they made the reason in the remake so much better, more understandable. And it's like, well, there you go, they fixed it. Also, it feels really great to play. I fucking love the parry mechanic. The parry mechanic is so fucking good. The Merchant, I'll fucking say it, he's way better than he was in the original. His shooting gallery is also fucking addicting. Like, I didn't give a shit about in the original, but it's so addicting in the remake. I played this game like four times through. I still need to get Separate Ways, damn it. But the main game was just that good. I played a little Mercenaries, so it's fine. I got the Infinite Rocket Launcher. I still want to go back in and try to get even more stuff. But okay, fine. Leon's hot, but it's a good damn game. So far to me, Resident Evil 2 is up there, but Resident Evil 4 Remake is the best Resident Evil game that I've played so far. I don't really expect that to change, if I'm honest, but there it is. The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. This came out of nowhere, and we streamed this one too. This goofy little 3-hour or so visual novel with some actually really fun writing and like dialogue trees and such. And something of a kind of touching story. I mean, it's Sonic, so temper your expectations, but I had a lot of fun voicing this. It killed my throat afterwards. Like, I'm starting to lose my throat now because I've been streaming for over 6 hours. And I still gotta get to the rest of this. But there was so much heart and character put into this. The art, the writing. Like, I want more of this stuff. Yeah, I did. I doubt we'll see more of this stuff. Because it's the same principle. I'm feeling like, well, with Sonic it feels a lot more possible like it could happen. Because, I mean, this is the company that got Sonic Mania made, even though that other shit happened with that, but... I don't want to put an S rank. I think I want to put an A rank. I will admit, like, the playable minigames were kind of basic and repetitive, and weren't that great, frankly, but it has a lot of heart and charm. The tabletop sim is going to be rank. Anyway, Xenoblade 3: Future Redeemed. The things I felt playing this game. This is a little bit wonky because it's an expansion to an existing game, but it's also a standalone 30+ hour experience. With its own story mode, side quests, and all that shit. And it deserves to be ranked here, I think. As a fan of the Xenoblade trilogy, this did a lot for me. In some ways, I feel like they could have gone even further, but even as is, it did a lot for me. And it really tied up the franchise so far in a nice way. And made me feel things, and I love the cast in this one. The cast is great. And let me put it this way. Since this is very out of context, if you know, you know. This expansion made me feel emotional about a fucking furnace. It's just so good. It's S rank. Like, it's a fantastic expansion. Xenoblade 3 would also be an S if I had done the tier list of this last year. Xenoblade 3 was my game of the year last year. So, there you go. More Xenoblade 3. And I'm looking forward to whatever might come next in this franchise. I'm going to be playing Xenosaga, not on stream, in January, so we're finally moving on to that series as well. Yeah, I need to do a thing here, because freaking Ring Loop is silly. There. I was talking about Xenosaga. Yeah, I'm gonna play that and finally go start experiencing more of this franchise, because I played Xenogears last year. Took a year off from Xeno games besides Future Redeemed, and I will play Xenosaga soon. Anyway. Save Room! Attaché Case. It's back again for the third time. Save Room was a great puzzle game. It wasn't very long, but like it didn't need to be. It didn't overstay its welcome. It had a fun little concept of let's take literally the inventory screen from Resident Evil 4 and make a puzzle game out of it. It was great for that. Like, it's a very basic idea, but sometimes the basic ideas are all you need. It was a good, like, what was it, 45 minutes to an hour that I spent on it. I mean, you know, I wasn't thinking about this before. I'm close to putting this in S rank, actually. Because I think, like, the only point against it is the fact that it was so short. But, like, you know, this is tough. You see, I don't think Save Room is better than Burger Sonic Hedgehog, though, is the thing. But it was so fun. I'm gonna put an A rank. We'll come back to this. Zelda. Anyway, no, Tears of the Kingdom. So, discounting Metroid Prime Remastered, this might be my actual game of the year. I admit, I was a little bit hesitant learning about the whole, it's going to reuse the same overworld as Breath of the Wild. But it ends up working, because I got a little bit the Sky Islands are sadly not that fleshed out or exciting as they could be. But the addition of all, like, the Zonai stuff, and the Ultra Hand, and gadgets and whatnot, they kind of did make good on their promise of taking the same world and having you explore it a different way, because I definitely did not traverse that overworld the same way I did Breath of the Wild. That's for goddamn sure. It felt like a completely different experience. Same world, different navigation. Like, it was very janky at first, and I wasn't really sure what was going on, but once this finally started to click, I was like, oh, yeah, this shit slaps. I was also happy to see a more traditional attempt at traditional style temples over Divine Beast. I mean, here's the thing, I thought Divine Beasts were fine for one game. Why am I holding my display ported after? But I will admit, they weren't all perfect. And I still kind of wish, like, I know the open design philosophy is, like, what they're going with, and that's fine, but, like, I wish at least the dungeons would have a linear style approach. Link Between Worlds is a good example. It was a game that was touted as more of an open experience. Not quite as much as Breath of the Wild, but the dungeons, even though you can go in with the dungeon item ahead of time, still had, like, a linear style approach to it. It felt like a sense of progression. And Tears of the Kingdom, it was still the same kind of find the access points and activate them approach. But, still, the aesthetics alone went a long way. The bosses are really good for the most part. I thought the story was good. I think the method of how you learned the story in Breath of the Wild was a little bit better, but I think the story itself in Tears of the Kingdom was good. Short-haired Zelda is the most perfect. So is his Baja Blast. And I had a lot of fun with this. The depths were cool to explore as well, but there wasn't a whole lot going on down there. Really. I think... more cars, yes. Grand Theft Auto, nope. It's just, I just had a lot of fun. Not much more I can say. I think that I would like to see them do another open world Zelda, but this time make it more live, with a lot more settlements and such. Make it even more rewarding to explore one overworld, have even more dungeons. I like the style of Zelda. I do wish they would now and then sprinkle us a little, throw us a bone with some old school style Zelda games as well, but this is also fine. But also, the final boss is fucking incredible. So, yeah. It's a great fucking game. S tier. No one is surprised. Na 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 nakaramari damashi. My first time playing this series, and specifically reroll, but I decided to just leave off reroll in the card so it looked better. It's great. The king of all cosmos is a fucking shithead, but it feels like the joke. And like, it did take me a little bit to really figure out the controls. That was like one of the only issues I have with the game. But once you get it, it goes better. I've probably forgotten how now, so how now, brown cow? If I played a sequel, I might be tripped up again, but this was a longer song than I thought. Anyway, if I played the sequel, I think I would get back into it. I want to play sequels at some point. Probably, maybe not stream them, but play them for sure. Yeah, great fucking music. No surprise. The aesthetics, it's just really fun. Excuse me. Really fun, really goofy. Some of the challenges were... I definitely could not make heads or tails of them. Like, find this present. I never found the present. That'd be something I might enjoy more if I went back to. Very good game. I think it's gonna be high in this tier, but I think I'm gonna drop it to A tier. It doesn't quite breach the level of these games for me, but it's still really good. AW Fight Forever. The core gameplay of this is fun. I think it's fun. I think it might need a little bit more tweak, and something better than just mashing buttons for tapping out or getting out of submission holds. I thought the core gameplay was fun. Where it falters is the options. I never have played Stadium Stampede, by the way. Just get that out of the way. I wanted to, but I guess, like, ultimately ended up just being too disappointed with the base product. And I'm going back to it. But, it needs more match types. It needed a lot more in a customization department. And like, this is a game that they say they're going to support and keep supporting and not do the yearly release thing like they did with WWE 2K. And I hope that's true. And I hope we find ourselves with a much stronger product over the years. Like, there are missing wrestlers that should have been in there day one. Like, the example they keep bringing up is Evil Uno, who's been all over the marketing for the game forever and advertising and promoting and stuff, and he's not even in the game yet. There was a season pass with like 3 different groups of characters they added in, and now there's a second season pass with more coming, and it's like... Inches are too short. I don't know, it needed more. I get it was trying to go for more arcadey approach, but I think it still needed more, especially in the customization field, because people... Like it or not, a lot of people have come to wrestling games for customization. You kind of need to appeal to that crowd to make a successful game. So as it stands, even if, like, the main story mode was kind of funny, As far as the terms of what I wanted out of this game and didn't get, I think I had to put this down in C tier. Hopefully one day it might improve to a substantial degree. As it currently stands, it does need some work. Here's a funny one, Zelda Game & Watch. For late 80s LCD screen game, I kind of thought it was a cool idea, cool concept, pretty... has some decent gameplay for one of those types of games. But it does very quickly get repetitive and frustrating, and borderline RNG. So it's hard to judge. I need to see something again, though. When did... Zelda Game & Watch original... It came out the same year as the Game Boy. I thought this was a Zelda 1 dungeon at first. So yeah, at that point, well, better handheld options were coming out, so even then it was kind of like... the concept was fitting style. You could be the first Mitsu, no. So... so this could very easily, for what it is, be a D tier. Be a D tier through the current standards of gaming. You could like find this on Steam and be like, what the fuck is this shovelware? I'm not gonna be that mean. I'm going to take some modern sensibilities. I'm going to take some hindsight sensibilities into mind. I'm going to let it be in C. This is definitely being kind to it. I think that's fair. Tori 3D and Tori 2. I'm putting these together because they're just so similar. They are little running platform games with that are throwbacks to PS1 aesthetics. You remember when I streamed Super Kiwi 64? It's the same developer except for PS1, except for 64 style. They're cute. They're very simplistic. But they're fun. There's not a lot going on for them. I think Tori 2 had better variety and level design. And I think Tori 2 was the one with the boss battle that was... that could be obnoxious. Maybe it was the first one. Either way. I think they're fun. It's not a lot to them. They last like an hour. And the depth and controls is not... it's not really there. So, but I would definitely say they're more entertaining than anything in C tier to me. So I'm gonna put both of them into B tier. From the same developer, Beanie, which we also streamed. The vertical B platforming game. Really short game. It does nail the Donkey Kong Country style aesthetic it was going for, both music and visuals. It doesn't last very long. There's not a lot to it. I enjoy playing it. Don't get me wrong. And this feels like I'm being mean to it. I'm not trying to be. But I think C tier feels appropriate, because like it's definitely not on the level of Tori. And like I definitely think it's... I might enjoy Fight Forever more, but I definitely think it's better for me to... I like playing it more than either of these three in C tier. But it is kind of like one of those games like, oh, that was a fun way to kill a couple minutes. I'll probably never play it again. So I'm not trying to be mean, but that's basically how I feel. Last one from this developer, Super Kiwi 64. We streamed this. This one was also pretty short, but I don't know. I vibed with this one a lot. It's also very simplistic, but I enjoyed it. Like, I thought the music was good. I like the aesthetics a lot. It was well done. I like the little puzzles in each level and like the cheat codes and stuff. It's like a... It's still kind of simplistic in what you can do, but... It's kind of like very, very miniaturized Banjo-Kazooie. Like hour-long Banjo-Kazooie. That's like a point in its favor. It's just had a nice vibe overall. This also might feel like it's too high. I'm going to put it in A tier. I definitely think it's above the Tori games in my mind. I could see this being slightly generous, but... Again, we'll look at this again at the very end and see how we truly feel. In the vein of retro-style platformers, Lunistis. Starring cute Tanuki going through 3D platforming levels with a PS1 aesthetic and very charming visuals in that regard. There's also like a filter that's on that makes it look all retro style. It's honestly, it's a little... I can see it be disorienting. You can thankfully turn it off. I think it was a fun experience. I like going through and trying to collect all the stuff. For the most part. There's some fun little obstacles. It felt good to play. I feel like I don't have much to say about it. It's weird. Maybe because I'm at the end of a string of retro-style platformer games, but... I think it's fair to give this an A tier as well. Call me a sucker for retro-style platformers, I guess. The ones that are good. There's a few more on my wish list I want to get to eventually. Just checking something. We're starting to get into it here. Thundercross. From that Konami Arcade Classic stream. The only one I actually beat. I don't know, it was fun. It was fine. Fun little shooter game with a... Yeah, that's right. This is the one where like it changed aesthetics and like styles between levels, and it was actually really, it flowed really well and had infinite continues, which was nice. It was just a fun little experience, and I can't really say much more than that. It was good. It was just a good arcade shooter. I think for that alone, I guess it earns its spot in B tier here. It was fine. It was good. Need another drink here. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I'll admit, when this game was announced, the first trailer they showed, I was like, okay, I might be with you, but how does this compare to New Super Mario Bros.? And, like, what sets it apart from New Super Mario Bros.? Because like, even though it's been a while since the last one, ignoring the Switch port, I guess since there were 4 of them, they're all really samey. It would I was kind of like burned out on the idea of a 2D Mario, but then I watched the showcase they put out, and it laid out stuff like the badges and whatnot, and the Wonder Flower abilities, and I was like, okay, now I see how it sets apart. Now I'm interested, and I got it, and yo, this game's really fucking fun. I don't have a lot of like complaints about this. Yeah, make Mario weird, exactly. That's where Mario excels. The Wonder Flower adds like a lot of cool things to it. My only real complaint is that the bosses aren't the best. Like, it's just Bowser Jr. And all of his fights are kind of similar with just slightly different effects each time. I think they could have gone even further with the bosses than this. That's like the only miss, I think. I think like the world map is great. Especially like, what was it World 3 or World 4? The desert one. The desert one had like a really cool thing going on. Level design was great. I do think they could have gone even further in utilizing the badge system and giving you extended replay levels with different badges. But the badge system itself was really cool. I will say I'm not the biggest fan of the music. Like, it's just okay. Like, it's better than New Super Mario Bros. Music generally, but I can't really like think of too many songs. The best songs in this game are from very late game, actually. I guess like. Okay, something's going on outside. That's a song. Anyway, some of the best songs of the game are late game, and overall the soundtrack, it could have been better, but like, it's fine. It's gonna go downfall there. But it's just so good. It's the best 2D Mario game since Super Mario World. Bare minimum, it might just be the best. I'm not sure though. I would really have to play like through it again. And like, honestly, I'm kind of thinking about doing a Mario marathon sometime after Way of the Hero, but I will say this though. It is still a very fantastic game that has earned its S tier spot with flying colors. F-Zero X. Here's the asterisk. I didn't really beat this. I played this on NSO, because like I got my 64 controller. I was like, I want to play around with some stuff, but I don't want to play with too much stuff, because I want to save that for the Nostalgia 64 stream. And I chose F-Zero X because I never played it before. I played the original. I played GX. And for those reasons, I didn't like X. I don't know what it is with me in X games. Xenoblade X, no. Mega Man X, it's good, but I don't like it as much as the classic series. F-Zero X, no. But is that like fireworks or something? It's New Year's Eve, I guess it's fireworks. I haven't played X2 in so long, but different topic another time. F-Zero X, I don't know. To be something about the controls felt off. Maybe if I tweaked around a little bit and tried to find something better, it might have gone better, but it just didn't feel fun to control to me. The spin move was like the most, I forget what the control was, it was like the most awkward shit. Whereas in GX, it's just like a single button press. If I recall right. I thought the courses were cool and all, but I just couldn't really get past the controls. I think if I played this when I was a kid, I would be a bigger defender of it. But as it stands, I just couldn't get into it. The thing is, putting it in C tier feels too mean. But also, like, I don't feel like I need to revisit it, because, like, again, F-Zero GX is right on that shelf over there. So, like, you know, I don't care if this is a hot take. I am just going to go ahead and put it in C, because for me, F-Zero X just was not it. I wish it was it, but it was not it. But oh well. Not every game is for everybody. It's fine. It's fine. I apologize to F-Zero X fans, but I've got other options. By all means, enjoy your game. It's for you. Do I even need to talk about Mario RPG Remake? Y'all saw the stream. Maybe didn't, but you know. I'll admit, when this was announced, I was like, holy shit, they're actually doing this. And I was watching the gameplay, I was like, I have nothing to dislike, but I'm also a little bit concerned for some reason, because you get that little bit of trepidation whenever you hear about remakes of games you like. But as it turns out, no, they understood the fucking assignment. It's like Metroid Prime Remastered, except in this case it's a full-on remake. Everything looks right, everything's fucking amazing. Everything sounds fucking amazing. Yoko Shimomura taking her already fantastic music and just putting it on another fucking level, like holy shit. The charm is still intact. I was glad most of the dialogue was still intact. You know, adding in the splash damage on perfect timed hits and triple moves definitely weren't there for balance reasons. Like, it definitely made the game feel a little bit easier, but like at the same time, it's Mario RPG. It never was a difficult game. It's fine. It's a very good game. Very good remake. Very fantastic remake. I nearly cried at the end, by the way. I don't know if that was obvious on the stream itself, but yeah, I nearly... At the very end, like at the very end of the credits, I basically was holding back tears. I was just so happy with how it turned out. Like, God. Taking a game that you love, I already thought was one of the best games of all time, and just making it so beautiful, feels so much better. Like, my only real complaint is like UI stuff is not as exciting as the original. I miss like the parchment style text boxes. That's it. That's really it. Like, and if I liked the original music more, that option is just there. And there was some post-game stuff too, I won't spoil, that was very fucking fulfilling as well. Mario RPG... Nah, you're right, here in S-Rank. There was never any question. Fucking amazing. Prodigal! This was a little indie game that definitely wore its Zelda and Link's Awakening influence on its sleeve a bit. Kind of. What was different about this game was that it had like more of a story aspect to it. Like a local story kind of going on with you and the people and like their location. And I thought, for the most part, it really excelled in character writing and building relationships. I liked a bunch of these characters, and I liked the dialogue that you have with them. Some of them antagonize you a bit too hard, and that kind of put me off a little bit. But the reason is they all thought you left and ripped off your parents when you did leave, and still, it felt like too much. It's a fun game. My issue is that, like, the gameplay itself, they do give you some cool little items to turn things on its head a bit. But also, here's the thing, it's four-way movement and that fucking blows. I don't like the four-way movement of this game. Like, if you're gonna be very obviously inspired by Game Boy Zelda, copy the controls too, please. But I will say the dungeons were the weakest element. They weren't very enticing. They weren't that exciting. Again, I thought some of the new items they had were cool, but ultimately they were just kind of like mostly bog standard usage. There were some cool things to it. I liked the writing a lot more. I was into this for the writing. I thought it was written well. I thought the music was left a little bit something to be desired as well. Alas. I still ultimately enjoyed it, but I did peter out during the post-game, because the post-game... There's an ending and then there's a post-game for like a true ending of sorts. I petered out because it just kept dragging me around to all these other dungeons, and they were just getting more and more frustrating and less fun. I was like, you know, I'm not in this for the dungeons anymore, I'm just going to call it here. It's for that reason that I'm going to put it down here in B tier. Because I genuinely enjoy how it looks. And for the most part, how it's written. But how it plays is... It's kind of generic, and again, the dungeon design is not really the greatest. It's a good game. I think it's worth trying, at the very least. But definitely think it could have gone a lot stronger in the gameplay department, but I still enjoyed my time with it at the very least. I just couldn't go all the way, and I wish I could have, but that's kind of why it's in B tier, not higher, sadly. Link's crossbow training. An hour-long tech demo where all you do is shoot things with objectives. And it was fun. It made my arm a bit sore by the end of it, but I thought it was fun. Like, sometimes simple ideas work. All you need to do is just point at things and shoot. It's a light gun, railgun game. You could have put this in the arcades and no one would have batted an eye. There isn't much to it, because it's a tech demo. And it reuses music from Twilight Princess. I think there's like one original song, maybe. And it's the title screen music, which is a remix of The Dark World from Link to the Past. Sure. I'll take it, but sure. With that said, it's still a fun game. It was still fun to play. Like, it was worth experiencing, I thought. And that's why it's going to go in B tier. There's not a lot to it. Or it could have been an A tier. If it was longer, more fleshed out, I think it could have made an A tier game for sure. It's a short, fun little shooting game, B tier. Oh boy, Chad. Sonic Superstars. I just beat this last night. I was hesitant about this one because, you know, I don't trust Sega. It's why I'm hesitant about this one. Or what was hesitant. And then when it came out, I was like, I'm gonna wait to see what people say before I try it. And it came out, and I saw a lot of people being, mostly positive on it, but I was hearing stuff about the bosses not being the greatest. And I've heard it compared to Sonic 4 Episode 2, which I think that game was it was decent. It wasn't great, but it was decent. I was like, I can probably stomach that. Song is my mood right now. Here's the thing about Sonic Superstars. It's really cool that Naoto Oshima is back. Work on Sonic games again. Like, that's a cool surprise. He designed Trip, the new character, who is fucking adorable. I love Trip. And I'd love for her to return in a future game. Don't know how likely that would be. It would either have to be a classic Sonic game, or they'd probably give her some ugly, modern version. Who knows, but... The visuals and aesthetics in the game are fantastic. Like, it looks great. I love how it looks. It's a fucking good-looking Sonic game. The gameplay, like, the level design is, for the most part, solid. Like, the level design and the aesthetics and the zones. Especially the zones being, well, mostly original. Like, they still play off tropes in classic era games, but they're not, like, reusing exactly zones of previous games. Although there's 2 pinball zones for some reason. I like pinball zones, so I don't mind, but I know a lot of people are kind of mixed on those, so... That was weird, but... There's like a whole... Yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna say it. I'm worried about Sonic games putting in random shmup segments. Like, Sonic Frontiers had shmup stuff. It wasn't good. Sonic Superstars has a level where it's suddenly Fantasy Zone. And it is good. Like, I liked it. But also, I'm like, can you please stop turning Sonic games into shmups? I mean, it wasn't good in Frontiers, and I don't want this to be a pattern, because I'm convinced it'd be shit if it tried it again the 3rd time. But... For the most part, yeah, I think the gameplay is good. Actually, no, Frontiers did have a fishing mini game, and it was actually kind of addicting. But I know the joke was Sonic Adventure, but still, and the gameplay is mostly good. I think there are some instances where enemy placement feels kind of cheap, or you can run into something from off screen without realizing it, and I think that could have been solved if you just zoomed the camera out just a little bit. It would have been a lot better. So for the most part, yeah, I think the level design was solid. I remembered when I was talking about in Quickie Roll 2, the hitbox thing, and that's not the last time we'll be talking about hitboxes. Sonic Superstars has fake hitboxes too half the time. I don't know what's going on with this game, but yeah, it just... Sometimes it just doesn't need something. It just feels off. Something feels wrong. The music in the game, it's inconsistent, and what I mean by that is it's inconsistent in quality and style. There's 4 different composers. Jun Sonoe is back. I think he was the lead composer, and T. Lopes was back, who worked on Sonic Mania's soundtrack and some other stuff since then. I don't know, and there's like 2 other composers. I forget the names, sadly, but I don't know what songs are what, but I think it's painfully obvious which ones are Jun Sonoe. He worked on the Sonic 4 Episode 1 and 2, and gave him this horrible faux Genesis synth style. It just doesn't sound good, and guess what? He does the same thing in Superstars. Here's the kicker. Most of the other music doesn't sound like Genesis. It sounds like a more modern arrangements. And most of those sound really fucking good. So why is it sometimes I'll be playing through a zone listening to some kind of like nice little modernish song, and then suddenly we'll transition to a fake Genesis boss theme with over-reliance on Genesis snare. I like that snare, but yeah, he does kind of think that, hey, this is what people remember Genesis Sonic music. Let's just throw it in all over the place. It's weird. I think you should have gone for a more consistent tone and not had that mix up. It's just, I don't know exactly what they were thinking there, but oh, don't worry. I'm no fan of Sonic Adventure. I like the music though. The real problem with Sonic Superstars is the fucking bosses. Like I alluded to, they're so bad. Like, they take forever. The boss is just fucking around in the foreground or the background, and you'll finally show its weak point, and you can attack it. Once. Repeat the cycle. Continue. For so long. And like, if it was a shorter game, it would be annoying, but not as bad, but it happens all fucking game, and there are so few bosses where it feels like you have agency over how you attack the boss. There was a boss, Press Factory 2, that's the one. Where like, you can actually have some control over how to fight it. You literally just have to get to the top, either by using platforms or bouncing up there or using your emerald powers. Which reminds me, I need to go transition back into the gameplay section for a bit. The emerald powers are a cool function. I feel like they're underused because I keep forgetting they're there. But, they're a cool addition. Press Factory Act 2, speaking of, that was the zone that I hated the most, because it's a race against time, basically. There's this Eggman drone flying in the background, and you have to, like, keep hitting buttons to reset the cooldown, or else if you run out of time, it'll just explode and you just die. It's like Sandopolis Zone in Sonic and Knuckles, but worse, because those don't instant kill you. They just make it really hard. It's like, who thought of this? This sucks. I don't like stuff like that. That was in my brain when I was talking earlier in Quickie Roll 2 about how I don't like timed levels. I meant, like, I got through it in subsequent runs just fine. But still, I just don't like the idea. But back to the bosses. No, yeah, they all suck. They just take too long. They drag on too long. And the final boss is such a fucking nightmare. It drags on too long. It has 2 phases that could each be just one boss. And no, they're not fun. I don't know how to describe that. Like I said, they exist to waste your time, and they take too many hits, and you can't just wail on them like you could in Genesis bosses, which, like, you could argue made them too easy, but also, if that's the case, they overcorrected as fuck. And here's the kicker. Once you're done with the main story, there's another story mode, Trip Story. Which feels redundant, because once you beat the game, you can play as Trip in the main story whenever you want. But no, now she has her own story mode where you replay the entire game, except now it's harder. There's more spikes everywhere, there's egg robos everywhere that keep shooting at you from off screen. The bosses are harder. Great! And her final boss is different. And honestly, you know, I don't think it's as bad as the regular final boss, but it's still pretty bad, because again, that problem crops up of there are two phases that could each just be one boss, but no, they're together, and it has so many instant kill attacks. If those were not instant kill attacks, it would not be that bad, it would still be fucking obnoxious, don't get me wrong. And then once you're done with that, you get the true final boss. And that final boss, I mean, it's hard, it's somewhat obnoxious, but it's not as bad as the other final bosses. But still, you have to play through the game twice, and once in the even worse mode, to even get the true ending, and it's like... Woo! A game that could be... It would be decent, it wouldn't be as good as the Genesis games. And obviously not Mania, but... It would have been a decent game, but the bosses are just that fucking awful that I don't want anything to do with the game anymore. I wanted to get through with it just to see the true ending. Because yeah, I fucking love Trip. She's great, but... Yeah, no, I think I'm done with this game. I put my time into it, and that's my verdict. If you gave me a mod to make the bosses stop existing, I'd play it again. But that's just it. I think without the bosses, it would be a low A, high B maybe, but I cannot, like, understate how terrible the boss design is, and how they should, if not do something about it in this game, do something about it in the future. It's solely because of these bosses, solely because of how awful these bosses are. Sonic Superstars is a C-tier game. And that kind of hurts to put it there, but it's just generally how I feel. I don't want anything to do with this fucking game because of these bosses. They're that fucking horseshit. Like, look how even these segments are, by the way. I wish Superstars was better, but it's just the bosses. And now, yes, I was prepared. Quickie Roll 2. The final game. Yes, we legitimize fan projects on this channel. Fuck it. We're gonna put this game in with all the other official releases. And I think I made my thoughts fairly clear already. That I'm not built for Kaizo, so Quickie Roll 2 is... Here's the thing, though. There were levels I really liked in Quickie Roll 2. Challenges I really liked, like the moving platforms, the, whatever the name was with the dolphin going upwards. There's some cool stuff I like in this, and it told me that there are some styles of Kaizo I would enjoy, but a lot of styles I wouldn't. Like, timing jumps on enemies with bottomless pits. Sky trees. It's mostly just those two, but there were enough of the former around. Like the bats. I wasn't very good at the opening bomb stage. But I don't know, there was some cool stuff in it, there was some stuff I wasn't jarring with. So... vibing. Stuff I wasn't vibing with. So where do I put it? I think I would put it in B tier. And I'm considering this. Like, would I really play it over The Last of Us again? I didn't like The Last of Us, so maybe. And I could at least go back and try to get, like, just play levels I like now, you know? Would I play it over the original Resident Evil? Also, maybe. I don't want to be too mean to it, because ultimately my takeaway with Quake World 2 is that Kaizo is not my thing. It's not that there's anything wrong with the game itself. I think that's why I'm going to keep it in B. It's more of a didn't click with me thing, less than a it's bad thing. I think that's fair. And I think... Not true, X points was yeah, man. So, S tier. No, but... I think we're about done here. Let's take a once over, because and let's see how we truly stack these up. I'll watch it, Core. Watch it. I did mention that earlier, but also hello. Here's the part where I'm like, do I want to rearrange the games in the tier by their tier? And rank them in that order? Because then we would have something of a ranking list. I think that's something I want to do. And then I want to see if anything changes tier. These ain't moving. Well, they're not moving tier, that is. Like, I see some stuff in these tiers going up or down. Probably not down. I don't think a D tier is existing today, which, you know, good. I think... when it comes to my S tier, I think it would look something like... yeah, something like this. This feels solid. Comes to the A tier. You move up, you move up. You swap. You move up. You move up here. You move over here. I think this seems good. Once I'm done with this, I'll still come back up around and see how things go. This one... I probably like this. Yes, that's probably fair. Down here... It's really Sonic Superstars and Last of Us that tripping me up here. Trip. Maybe we can get rid of the on deck tier because everything's talked about. I'm kind of thinking. I think the top three in the S tier are pretty much solid, but... What about RE4 versus Remake? Mario RPG Remake. You can't say RE4 Remake versus Remake because people think you're talking about both versions of RE4. What about RE2 versus Wonder? That's my thing. I think I have to put a Wonder above RE2 Remake. As good as this one is. I can tell you that, as much as I love Wonder, Mario RPG I love more for very deeply personal reasons. Which is why it's difficult to think, do I love it more than RE4 Remake or not? Because I don't have a nostalgic attachment to RE4 Remake, as evidenced by this. I don't think it's better than Future Redeem, because I talked about how much that meant to me. Tears of the Kingdom, it's fucking Zelda. And Metroid Prime Remastered, it's fucking Metroid Prime. So let's leave that. Let's look at C tier again. Beanie was far and away the most fun to play of all of these, even as short as it was, so I think it's fair to put it up here. I think Fight Forever should be above RE1. I think F-Zero X should be above RE1. The thing is between RE1 and Last of Us, RE1 is shorter and more fun with the story and stuff. With all the cornball acting. Like, again, Ellie's great. Ellie's fantastic. This guy is not. Like I said, I'm so bad. I wish I could put Sonic Superstars higher. Like, without the bosses, it would be probably top of beer. Beer? B tier at minimum. Yeah, Sonic Superstars is better than beer. It's debatable. No. Like I said, I cannot understate. I refuse to understate how badly the bosses are and how they made me feel playing this damn game. And Zelda Game & Watch is an LCD game. What more game to say? Again, if I want to be really mean, I could put it down here, but I'm not going to. I think with that decided, yeah, there's no D tier. With B tier, again, I really like the writing of Prodigal. I put it above Crossbow Training. For that alone. Crossbow Training is... This is weird. I think it has more variety and fun. I think that's the only reason I put it above Tori, is because more variety to Crossbow Training. Tori 2 I like more than 3D. That much is clear. RE3 can be fun, but something felt missing. Like I said, it's no RE2. Sure as shit ain't. Really combining words today. Skipping and combining words. Sure as shit ain't RE4. It's fun, but it's missing something, yeah. Tabletop, because again, I'm not really a tabletop guy generally. I think I get more utility out of the occasional board game than Thundercross, though, because it's an arcade shooter. Arcade shooters are fine. Sometimes, they're not really my thing. Quicker Roll 2... This is mostly a respect thing, respecting the craft. I think it's fine to put Quicker Roll 2 at the bottom of B tier. And A tier, like I said, there's so much heart in the put into this. And I don't think I like Save Room as much as I like Murder of Sonic, but Save Room is still really good. And when I think about it, what am I thinking? No Katamari is the top of A tier. There we go. Now it's correct. And the RE4 original is really fun, but I think definitely I prefer Lunasis because it's a platformer. I like platformers. And RE4 does have like dated mechanics, but even though it has a lot of good to it. I think I'm just fearing backlash by not putting Super Q-Weave 64 above RE4, but... nah. Yeah, I think I do. I still get some enjoyment out of RE4, like the original. It's still a case of why would I play it? The remake is so much better. And that might be a hot take in some circles, but you gotta remember, I didn't play the original RE4 until this year, so I don't have the nostalgic value. So, and when I played RE4, I'm like, okay, the remake, I was like, okay. Almost everything here is just objectively better. There is a couple things that are missing that I kind of wish were still here, but almost everything else is just so much better. I think this has convinced me. RE2 original can be top of B tier. This is also fun in its own way. Surprisingly decent voice acting for that era of games. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's still better. Although sometimes I still think about how every single time Claire sees Leon, she's like, Leon! It's just funny things. I love corny old voice acting. I still like the puzzle solving and stuff. I think King of B tier is good for RE2. Let me just look over S tier one more time. And let me think. I mean, like I said, if I want to be a dick and include a simple remaster in my Game of the Year list, yeah, Metroid Prime is number one, because it's Metroid fucking Prime. It's one of my fucking favorite games of all time, and it's so fucking good. Otherwise, it was always a battle between Tears of the Kingdom and Future Redeemed for me, because again, Future Redeemed just does so much for me as a Xenoblade fan. And there is the technicality of it being just an expansion. That's a beefy expansion, it's a good expansion. It ties the trilogy together, and it's just so good. And even though it's technically a prequel, takes place before the events of Xenoblade 3, don't play it until you play Xenoblade 3, because it's going to go a mile a minute with the spoilers for Xenoblade 3. I almost want to put Mario RPG above RE4 Remake, but RE4 Remake was just that good. It's just something about that game. It just played great. Felt great. Looked great. Just a fantastic experience overall. Now, here comes the funny thing. This is the only original game in S tier. Mario Wonder. Remaster. New ideas, but same overworld and engine. An expansion to an existing game, and uses a fair amount of its assets as well as assets from outside. Remake. Now, in fairness, these two are very substantial remakes. They're Resident Evil 2 remakes. Mario RPG is a note-for-note remake, but it's such a well-known remake. I think that's funny, but like, you know, they're that good, so who fucking cares? This is my list, so fuck you. I'm gonna take a step further. Super Kiwi 64, you're now king of B tier. Fuck you, RE2. I think we've got our list. I think this looks good. 2023 overall, a very solid year for video games for me. Yeah. Not a lot of bad ones. And like, I don't know how much I would consider these like actually bad. Zelda Game & Watch, if you're looking at it through a modern lens. It's hard with Sonic Superstars. Again, it's only bad because of the bosses. The bosses are so bad that the rest of the game just doesn't spark joy. Last of Us is not a bad game, it's just I just didn't think it was good. But this is our list, and I think it looks pretty swell. I think this is the part where I'm going to go ahead and call it a wrap, because I need to fucking eat. Ooh, Waffle is streaming. Ooh. Well, I'm gonna put this together, and I'll post it on the socials later. But thanks for hanging out. Again, I'm sorry it took so long to get the Quicker Roll 2, but we finally did it. So leave me alone. But yeah, Waffle's playing Celeste. Trying to get the last few strawberries before 2024. Valid. Yeah, thanks for joining me this year. And for tonight, for this whole year, I'm glad to have had you all. Looking forward to 2024. We've got, yeah, Blue Yoshi died because he's a prick. No, but looking forward to more stuff in 2024. Banjo-Kazooie is going to be our first stream game. First new stream game. Tomorrow, actually, we're planning on doing some Ship of Harkinian Ocarina of Time Online. Let me get that set up. Me and RB Man and Tempest and Jeff, I think. So that should be fun. And then Banjo-Kazooie, starting sometime soon, will continue Way of the Hero through to the end. Castlemania is happening sometime next year. I've still got to do the Genesis and Game Boy Nostalgia streams. So I'm looking forward to more stuff. More rando, more fun. So, Happy New Year! 2024. I hope you're fine. I don't know how you're going to top this in terms of new games. There's still some games that came out this year I still want to play, but just couldn't get to yet. I want to play Baldur's Gate 3 sometime. I want to play the Alan Wake games. Now I'm just really curious. I want to play Spider-Man 2, but I'm going to see if it ever... I'm hoping it comes to PC, because I'm not buying a PS5 for it. But it's a good year. Some great times. Happy New Year. Have a good one. Thank you all for watching. See you next year.